For the Ohio State Buckeyes and Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Minneapolis NCAA Volleyball Regional Final. Temperatures in the 20s, it's a good night to be indoors in Minneapolis, especially with Minnesota taking on Ohio State for the third time this season. But this time, a trip to Long Beach and the NCAA Championships is on the line. I'm Carter Blackburn. Welcome to the championship match of the NCAA Minneapolis Regional Final. Two of the top 5 teams in the country meet, and they are both glad to be here. Last night, Ohio State became the first team in rally scoring history to come back from down 0-2 to win a regional match. Georgia Tech played a 48-46 Game 4 against Minnesota before the Golden Gophers win that match in 5 games. Heather Cox joins me for the Minneapolis Regional Final. These are two teams that obviously know each other very well, playing in the Big Ten together.
Certainly so, 1-on-1 against each other this season, and I think the more often you play each other in the same season, it starts to favor the underdog, and in this case, away from home, the underdog Ohio State, but they've got the confidence knowing that they can knock off Minnesota. They've done it already.
Well, Mike Hebert in Minnesota has seen a lot of Stacey Gordon throughout her incredible career at Ohio State.
Absolutely amazing. Leads the nation in kills per game with more than 7. As Stacey Gordon goes, the team goes. But the good news is she very rarely has a bad night. 109 consecutive matches with a double-digit kills. She is phenomenal to watch.
And yet Minnesota has one of the best defensive players in the country in Paula Genshu.
As Stacey Gordon, 4th in the nation all-time kills in NCAA, while Paula Genshu, 4th NCAA all-time in digs. This is a chess match. Stacey Gordon will try and keep the ball away from Genshu as often as she can. That's not easy to do, though. Paula Genshu, like the free safety back there, she will roam the entire court and pick up a ton of digs tonight.
Well, the NCAA tournament field of 64 is now down to 6. Will it be Minnesota or Ohio State moving on to Long Beach, whose season comes to an end tonight in Minneapolis? The championship match of the Minneapolis Regional is next.
The charge of the organization, the AVCA, is to help promote volleyball at all levels.
Volleyball is a sport that grows like by groundswell, and you need someone to organize it. For the volleyball world, the AVCA has been the guiding light.
We have an opportunity by joining the AVCA to become better volleyball coaches. I think it's our responsibility to work hard to become better, and we have an avenue to do so by the AVCA.
The attention that's drawn to our sport has been drawn to us through the AVCA.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
Itching for a college football playoff? Look no further. Crystal Bowl 2, presented by Xbox. We seed them, play them, and give you a true national champion, or as close as you'll get this year. Crystal Bowl 2, presented by Xbox. Wednesday at 7 on CSTV.
In the Twin Cities at the Sports Pavilion in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the number 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, Ohio State, takes on number 4 seed Minnesota. The Golden Gophers here at the Sports Pavilion. Ohio State Buckeyes 30-3 on the season, the 5 seed under head coach Jim Stone. They are led by Stacey Gordon, a leading candidate for the Player of the Year nationally. She is already a 3-time All-American. This week she will become a 4-time All-American, 4th all-time NCAA in kills. Jim Stone in his 23rd season was named Big Ten Coach of the Year for the 4th time in 2004. The 4-seed Minnesota Golden Gophers are 31-4 on the year. They tied with Ohio State for 2nd place in the Big Ten. Mike Hebert in his 9th season trying to take Minnesota back to the NCAA semifinals for the 2nd consecutive season. And when he took over as Minnesota head coach 9 years ago, he said his goals were to win the Big Ten, fill the Sports Pavilion, and put Minnesota volleyball in a position to win an NCAA championship. And
check,
guess what?
Check.
That is exactly where Minnesota volleyball is. And Heather, you said when you get to a series like this, and these teams know each other so well, it favors the underdog.
Well, I think there's so much pressure on Minnesota playing at home, playing to advance to its another national semifinal. I just think they've got everything to lose. I think Ohio State comes in here with the confidence, knowing that they can beat Minnesota, but knowing that they might not be the more physical team, and they are the underdogs, so they're playing very loose with nothing to lose.
The Big Ten all-time kills leader, Stacey Gordon for Ohio State. The Big Ten all-time digs leader in Paula Jinshu.
And I can promise you, you will see a ton of both of those players. Minnesota will do everything it can to keep the ball away from Stacey Gordon, but 4 years, nobody's found a way to do it.
Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox from the Minneapolis Regional Final. On the opening point, it is Ohio State out to a 1-0 start with some missed passing by the Golden Gophers.
No surprise, the Buckeyes come out with Stacey Gordon leading the nation in kills at left front. That gives her 3 opportunities to score three across the front row.
Among the many people that have heaped praise on Stacey Gordon is Mike Hebert, who says that she is as good a volleyball player as he has seen ever. And he said that not only offensively, but he really thinks that she has improved defensively in her senior season at Ohio State.
That's what I love about Stacey Gordon's game, and I've loved it since day one. Not only is she an amazing offensive powerhouse, she leads this team in digs and hit percentage and aces. She's making an impact on every area of the floor.
Ohio State ties it up 2-2.
Maya Mapp, one of the really the surprises for Jim Stone. Great out of the middle, the senior really making an impact this year.
Pancake on the back row. They're going to say that point is down, and it's point Minnesota. Rebecca Castine nearly got to it on the back row, but it's point for the Golden Gophers. And you can give the kill. Meredith Nelson, little block for Minnesota. Just in, stuck it in the back row on a nice swing on the outside.
Brianna McCarthy has really emerged this year, was the starting setter, the incumbent coming in this year, but they got a great transfer, and Marisa Mann and Brianna McCarthy moved to the right side.
Quick dump, and there is Marisa Mann.
Our first look at her a year ago, playing for Xavier, decided to make a change. Jim Stone said she just fell into his lap. Missed the first week of practice. It wasn't something planned during the spring. Made a late switch and is now the starting setter in a regional final game. Doesn't get much better than that.
And obviously she has paid dividends for Ohio State. This is a program that last year went 5-15 in the Big Ten. They were 6 games below 500 on the season. But they brought in a great recruiting class, a couple of transfers, and it has been a transformed Buckeye team in 04.
Yeah, knowing Jim Stone, an Ohio State team is never going to have a record like that 2 years in a row. He's an amazing technician, great teacher of the game, and a solid recruiter.
Meredith Nelson swings outside to get her second kill and even us at 5-5 in game 1.
Carter, something for us to watch. Last night, both of these teams extended to 5 in their victories. Is fatigue going to be a factor, especially if this one goes the distance, which I predict it could?
Not only extended to 5 for Minnesota, they played a 48-46 game 4. That is the longest game in NCAA history. Of course, it's just the 4th year of Rally scoring, but nonetheless, it was 48-46. This is the best we can do in showing you exactly how this match went. The longest game in Division I history.
And 9 game points for Georgia Tech. 10 match points for Minnesota before they were able to steal it. Ohio State also had an unusual night, losing the first 2 games, unheard of, especially in NCAA tournament play, starting down 0-2, coming back and rallying. And this is a young Ohio State team. That's a huge confidence boost.
First time that has happened since 1998 in regional play, that a team went down 0-2, came back and won. And it was a disappointing end to Tennessee's season. How about being 2-0 in the up 2-0 in the regional semis?
Heartbreaking. Yeah, both Tennessee and Georgia Tech should be congratulated for great seasons. Came in here and fought their hearts out trying to pull the upset.
Yellow Jacket coach Don Szymanski said, funny thing is, I'm not even sad after we lost in 5 games because of the great effort in Game 4.
And already tonight we're seeing a lot of great offense, this time by Minnesota. Runs a slower attack. Ohio State needs to get shoulder to shoulder, watch the hitter's shoulder a little bit more. They shouldn't be able to get by on a slow set like that.
Pancake in the back row, but on the overpass, it's a free ball for Minnesota. Gordon keeps it alive, but not for long. Minnesota takes the lead. Marcy Pinata will serve for Minnesota, one of the three amigos. Not the best Spanish, but yes, they do go by the term the three amigos. Pinata, Lisa Reinhardt, and Paula Jinshu in the back row defense for Minnesota.
This time Maya Mapp off of the slide. Timing not perfect, but sometimes a little bit better to be lucky than good. Gets the paintbrush and it works.
To the outside for Aaron Martin. If Minnesota is going to win, Aaron Martin will have to play a match like she did last night. 31 kills in the semis, a career high.
And she's one of those players that can get streaky, and when she gets streaky in a good way, you better watch out. You've got to get 2 blockers up at all times.
That's her first kill tonight for the senior from Ames, Iowa. Back to the middle, Nelson sends it right to May. Back set, Nelson swings outside. Castine was waiting for it there. Back set for Ohio State. Jinshu flies out of nowhere, sets up Martin. That is Minnesota at its best. Jinshu keeps it alive. Martin finishes it off.
And this is a crowd that understands how good Paula Jinshu is and what a great player she is for this team, keeping the rally alive, appreciating her defense turning into offense. Again, Jinshu is all over the place.
Castine are equal on the other side for Ohio State. The soft touch from Gordon. She saw the double block and dinks it over. First kill of the night for Gordon.
Great set from the end line. That's the advantage of having a Stacey Gordon type player. You can just throw up anything and know that she can come away with the kill. It's not like having a great middle where you need to have the ball control in order for that player to be effective.
One of the things that Mike Ebert said about controlling Stacey Gordon was it starts at the service line. If we can serve tough so that she doesn't get the type of passes she's used for those nearly 2,800 career kills, Minnesota feels like they can contain her. And she's sent down alone.
She's a rhythm player, which means she likes to get a certain feel, likes to get a certain tempo. So what Minnesota's going to try and do is really isolate her, frustrate her. This time she runs inside the court, really trying to keep Minnesota's block guessing.
Castine has to call to get back across and a free ball opportunity. Missed pass, so Martin with the double contact. Cross-court pass. Pulling Ohio State back within 2. Amy Stevens to serve. Big Ten all-freshman team. She had 17 kills in the semis, tying her career high. She's only a freshman, but she had a heck of a night against Tennessee in that 5-game win for Ohio State.
Yeah, we talked about Ohio State coming in, playing on the road in a very hostile environment, and yes, this is a young team. Stevens, a true freshman. We've also got Danielle Meyer in the middle as a true freshman, and a defensive specialist that gets a ton of time, Brittany Dawn, as a true freshman.
Right into the block. Stacey Gordon can get up, too. She's listed 5'11", but she can jump.
And she just continues to impress. Great form going one-on-one. The tendency is to drift to the outside, then you get tooled. Instead, Gordon goes straight up and presses in.
To Jinshu on the serve, and it ends up in a Minnesota point. Off the pass from Jinshu.
And anytime Minnesota can get some points out of the middle, they're going to find success. Meredith Nelson a year ago was just a blocking specialist. Rarely strong as well. She needs to have a presence offensively.
She has so far with 3 kills. Gordon starting to get hot. That's her second kill, pulling Ohio State back within 2.
Look at those numbers. I mean, unbelievable. An impact on every area of the court last night.
4 touches against Minnesota, so Ohio State is awarded the point, and the Buckeyes are within 1, 14-13.
The ball has to clear the net, at least touch a little bit of the blocker's hands. Can't touch the tape, otherwise it's full contact.
To the outside for Kelly Bowman. First team All-Big Ten. She's an ABCA All-Region selection as well. The sophomore giving Minnesota the 15th point. Golden Gophers halfway to a win in game 1.
This presentation of NCAA Volleyball on CSTV is brought to you by Tachikara. We got the ball. You bring the game.
I'm never really away from the game. If I'm not playing it, I'm practicing it. If I'm not practicing it, I'm thinking it. And if I'm not thinking it, I must be sleeping. And then I'm dreaming it. Sacrifice is what got me to this level. But there are some things you just can't sacrifice. Never compromise. Tachikara Volleyball.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
You've got to step up. Close out all of the pressure. Trust everything you've been taught. And just believe you can do it. You know, my first day on the job sure felt familiar.
There are over 360,000 NCAA student athletes, and just about all of us will be going pro in something other than sports.
It all starts here. They begin to learn, to achieve, and the SEC recognizes the responsibility teachers have to affect their future. Therefore, the SEC has launched an education initiative where every elementary school and library throughout the Southeast has been donated a CD-ROM, which uses intercollegiate athletics to reinforce math and language arts while building character. The Southeastern Conference, creating a legacy for the future.
The charge of the organization, the ABCA, is to help promote volleyball at all levels.
Volleyball is a sport that grows like by groundswell, and you need someone to organize it. For the volleyball world, the ABCA has been the guiding light.
We have an opportunity by joining the ABCA to become better volleyball coaches. I think it's our responsibility to work hard to become better, and we have an avenue to do so by the ABCA.
The attention that's drawn to our sport has been drawn to us through the ABCA.
Stacey Gordon and Ohio State trying to come back in game 1, trailing Minnesota by 3. And with Stacey Gordon at the service line, the 3-time All-American, Player of the Year candidate, is in the position the Buckeyes want to win. Bowman into the block, second chance. Now she sets it across field. Bradford dug out by Bowman on the back row, but the pass just a little bit too long, and Minnesota wins a point.
And great cover that time by Tejas. She set her other setter, Bowman, and Bowman actually just went up to her and said, hey, Lindsay, I need it a little bit lower to try and beat Ohio State's block.
This is Gordon out of the back row. Reinhardt overpasses it, though. So much smoke on those Gordon balls.
Yeah, that ball was going out, but they're coming at you so fast, you just don't have time to make the decision. You need your teammate to call out and talk you into pulling away from that ball.
Minnesota 5 points away from taking game 1. Gordon keeps it alive, but that's just a little bit too much for Danielle Meyer to run down in the crowd. You start to see what Stacey Gordon means to Ohio State volleyball. She is all over the floor.
Yeah, if we had kind of those John Madden type awards, I'd give her an Ice Bag Award for 4 consecutive years, because she takes more swings than anybody in the country. Got that sore shoulder.
I'd give Paula Jinchu an Ice Bag Award too, because she was literally in the ice bath at practice today. The libero for Minnesota, who flies all over the floor. She gets beat up every match.
She's definitely got the black and blue bruises to show it. Defense is, I think, 99% mental, and Jinshu's got that mentality of just going for everything, not giving it a thought.
Tejas with the swing, split set into the middle. Can't put it down, so a chance for Bradford to swing right into the double block. Soft touch for Tejas, and the dink puts Minnesota within 3 points in game 1.
And Bowman and Tages have come to play, the two of them providing much-needed offense. This is the advantage of running that 6-2 offense we talked about. The setters can attack, and they do it with finesse. Great read of the defense, recognizing Ohio State was playing deep.
Buckeyes take a timeout, trying to extend game one, now trailing 27-23 to Minnesota. Coverage of the NCAA Division I Women's Volleyball Championship Regional Finals continues next with live coverage from the Seattle Regional as Washington takes on UCLA for the right to claim the fourth and final spot in this year's NCAA National Semifinals. NCAA Division I Women's Volleyball Championship Regional Finals on CSTV continues next. So Washington and UCLA are the two remaining teams out west. Surprised at Penn State, the 2 seed falls?
I am. I think Russ Rose always has his team playing its best volleyball in late November, early December, but you've got to get your hats off to Andy Manikowski and the entire Pac-10. They have come to play in this NCAA tournament. UCLA returns 5 starters. They're very experienced, and if they don't have the best libero in the country, they've got the second best libero in the country in Chrissy Zartman, and if she's not number 1, it's because Paula Zhenshu is.
All right, so what do you think about Minnesota with Zhenshu?
I think she's number 1. I think Chrissy Zartman is number 2. I think Zhenshu number 1. And the keys for Minnesota to find success, use that veteran experience that you have in those 5 returning starters like UCLA has. Also, take advantage of where you're playing. Thrive off your crowd. The question is, will the pressure be too much for them and make them crumble a little bit too much?
They needed it last night. You go 48-46, you're going to be tired.
And you've got to draw energy from somewhere, and this crowd kind of gave him a big virtual hug and carried him through.
Zhenshu keeps it alive. Bowman sets it across from Martin, who gets just a little bit too high. Maybe the set a little bit too high. Minnesota trying to hang on in game 1, 3 points away from the victory against the Buckeyes. Martin gets a big swing. Ohio State runs it down. Dan sets it up for it. Back set, that's going to be called a lift against Lindsay Tages. Point Ohio State. Things are slipping for the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, if you're a Gopher, you're thinking about a timeout because suddenly Stacey Gordon is back in the front row and Ohio State can score in bunches in this rotation.
She's front left, she can block 2.
Don't forget, last night in crunch time, Stacey Gordon, right there, number 10 red, scored the last 4 points to seal the match in 5 for Ohio State.
4 straight for the Buckeyes to tie it at 27-all in game 1 in Minneapolis.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
This CSTVU instructional moment is brought to you by State Farm.
Take the hand off, get it under control, press the hole. Talk about press the hole.
Yeah, no question. I think it's very important. You know, every run is obviously designed to hit a set a certain gap. It's not always going to be there 100% of the time, but now what it'll do is it'll create big cutback gaps, and it'll make those cutback players play in more space. And you know, with good athletes at running back, if you can get into that cutback lane with more space, now you can make a guy miss and have a big play. What you'll find is a lot of guys at a young age think they want to stand up and try to find holes and dance. You know, it's so important, especially at our level, to have your pad leveled down. A lot of young backs think if they're up, they can see things, but actually if you're down, you can actually see holes being created a little bit sooner.
This CSTVU instructional moment has been brought to you by State Farm, providing insurance and financial services.
She had her license for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and 2 accidents in less than 10 seconds.
2. I'm State Farm agent Kevin Weber, and this is a true story.
Yeah, I was scared. I didn't want to call my parents.
I called her parents.
He really treated her like she was his own daughter.
I handled her claim and gave her a few pointers.
A lot of pointers.
A lot of pointers. Any insurance company can promise you a good price, but nobody takes care of you like State Farm. We'd love to prove it to you. Call an agent today, like a good neighbor.
State Farm is there.
Ohio State takes game 1 of the Minneapolis Regional Final against the Minnesota Golden Gophers here in Minneapolis. Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox, joined now by Georgia Tech head coach Vaughn Szymanski. Congratulations, number 1, on a great season and a great performance in the regional semis last night.
Thanks. We just about fell apart physically there at the end, but it was a really courageous effort on the part of our team and Minnesota's team, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of pride walking away from that match last night.
48-46 in game 4. That's unbelievable. That's unheard of. I mean, this is what it looked like. Obviously sped up a little bit.
It needs to be sped up. It took forever. It was a marathon, and basically it got to the end, and it was the team that could sprint the last 100 yards of that marathon fast, and it was Minnesota last night.
Coach, you have a very veteran squad. How important was that in this environment, in a game that was really historic in the amount of points scored?
Well, I think it's a testament to the idea of what you can do. A lot of people hung a non-seed on us, or not being ranked, as what we can't do when we come into Minnesota's gym, and our team just said, this is what we can do. We can come in, we can play, we can push this team to 5. Minnesota's a great team, but we also, I think, proved that we're a great team too.
What is the team thinking today? How is it feeling? Obviously, it stinks to go out on a loss, but is there a moral victory, at least with the numbers that we saw in that match?
Well, I think to some degree there is. I think stick-to-itiveness is a lot of it. When you're down 28-23 and in the final game of the match, game 4, and then you're able to come back and win that game, it shows a lot of fortitude. But, you know, it's bittersweet to sit in the building tonight and kind of watch someplace that you wanted to be on the court. But, you know, that's back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances for our program, and it's just a great building point for us.
Well, Vaughn, you had a terrific match against Minnesota. You've played so many of the top teams in the country, but give us an inclination about what it was that put you to the brink of victory against the Golden Gophers last night in game 5.
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is that we run a really fast offense, and it was our offense against Minnesota's defense, and where we held on with them for so long was that our defense really responded.
After watching game 1 here, you've been around volleyball for a long time. What do you do if you're Ohio State to come away with a win over, you know, you've been scouting Minnesota all week. What do you do to win?
Well, what Ohio State has done early here is really gone to the slide, the backside set, and we felt like we could exploit that. We didn't execute it as well as Ohio State has done so far. But the other thing Ohio State can do is set Stacey Gordon. That's something that we can't do. And so, you know, she has the ability to really go next level and take a game over by herself. And I think it's going to be really it'll be a testament to endurance tonight for both teams. I know that both teams got the results after yesterday.
Typically, how difficult is it to go back-to-back in this format, especially considering that all the teams went 5 games?
Well, I think right now you're probably going to see body parts falling onto the court by game 3. I mean, there's just people that got to be aching, but it's amazing what adrenaline and youth will do for you in a situation like this.
Visiting with Georgia Tech head coach Vaughn Szymanski, whose team went 5 games last night, a historic game 4 against Minnesota. Golden Gophers pull it out. But Vaughn, just about every coach we've talked to this year has talked about how this was a different NCAA tournament, more wide open. Do you think you're seeing that play out?
Oh, I mean, it's so obvious, and I don't know that you can call anything an upset. You know, it just Minnesota's in a great spot right now because they're one of the only 2 true hosts, them and Washington. And even Washington with a 7 seed wasn't exactly a shoe-in. So I think you're going to have a lot of parity. You already have parity. You're going to continue to have it even in through the Final Four, and who knows who's going to end up on top this year.
Which I have to ask. I mean, looking at the pairings, and you've seen obviously a lot of these teams play, who are your picks?
Well, you know, I think right now the Nebraska-USC match is very interesting. And USC is certainly not out of the national picture in my mind. They know how to do it. They have a big physical team. I really like Minnesota's defense and being an anchor for them, working hard together as a whole team. But, man, it's just so hard to tell. And Washington's a team I haven't seen a whole lot of, but I understand they run a real fast offense. So I really do feel like it is a really heads-up gamble. I have no idea who's going to come out on top.
I think we all can agree on that. Coaches across the country have been saying the same thing all season long.
Vaughn, thanks for taking a couple minutes with us.
All right, thanks a lot.
And congrats on a great season.
Thank you very much.
Georgia Tech head coach Vaughn Szymanski, whose Yellow Jackets make it to the Sweet 16 and had an incredible showing against Minnesota here in Minneapolis. Golden Gophers advance with that regional semi-win over.
And volleyball's always been a game of momentum, and if stats tell the story, Ohio State looking good, undefeated this season when they've won game 1. And as a player, there's always some sort of little just this mental edge that you get when you know that you come away with the first game.
Especially after being down, like Ohio State was in game 1.
On the flip side, when Minnesota loses game 1, 4-3. They won last night. They know they can get it done. Certainly helps to be playing at home.
Whistle, and Mike Hebert's getting an explanation. I'd like to know what the explanation is.
Clearly, Coach Hebert not happy because the ball going in the direction of the Ohio State Buckeyes. The ball along with a point.
Make it 2 straight for the Buckeyes to take a 6-4 advantage in game 2 against Minnesota.
Boy, and Hebert better be careful. A yellow card is coming closer out of the pocket of the officials. He is up and jawing and not happy. Little stink eye going his way.
Joan Powell's keeping a close eye on Coach Hebert. Dr. Mike Hebert. Jinshu and Pinata, 2 of the 3 amigos, discussing how in the world they're going to try and stop Stacey Gordon. Now with 13 kills in the match.
You know, it was funny when we had the Georgia Tech coach on Bond, you know, he was saying the differences Ohio State has Stacey Gordon. It reminded me of UConn, the powerhouse in women's basketball. Gino Auriemma a year ago said the difference, we have Diana Taurasi and you don't. I think Jim Stone could say as much about Stacey Gordon, just a difference maker on the floor.
Gino's a shy one, isn't he?
I guess when you've got somebody like a Diana Taurasi or a Stacey Gordon, you don't need to be humble or shy.
Ohio State up 1. Nice dig from Kelly Bowman in the back row. Right into a double block, though. Amy Stevens gets most of that one for Ohio State. Buckeyes up 2 in game 2.
Boy, and I have been very impressed with the sophomore setter for Ohio State, Marisa Main. You know, we haven't called her name a lot, but she is making some smart, beautiful sets. Great consistency, good delivery by the first-year setter.
When I did call her name, I said it wrong. It is Marisa Main. Ohio State rolling in Minneapolis. The Buckeyes took game 1 and now up 3 in game 2. And Minnesota come back.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
I'm never really away from the game. If I'm not playing it, I'm practicing it. If I'm not practicing it, I'm thinking it. And if I'm not thinking it, I must be sleeping. And then I'm dreaming it. Sacrifice is what got me to this level. But there are some things you just can't sacrifice. Never compromise. Tachikara Volleyball.
Hey, what's up, Thirst? Yo, Thirst, what's up with the extra Sprite?
Brother, you can never be too far away from the crisp, thirst-quenching lemon lime goodness of Sprite. Now let's say some big old Sasquatch sits here on my left taking up the armrest and whatnot. I'm gonna be over here on my right with this Sprite.
So what about that one?
Now say some young honey dip sits over here on my left. I'm gonna spend my time over here with her, getting my drink on. Show her my motto. Ooh, ooh. Now this is gonna be interesting. Who's thirsty?
Stacey Gordon with 13 kills, leading Ohio State against Minnesota.
And not only are they going to her, but when they are, she's been extremely effective, hitting .389 from the outside, and that's under an enormous amount of pressure because they go to her as the outlet when they have no other offensive options. Everybody in this entire gymnasium knows that Stacey Gordon's getting the ball, and still Minnesota not finding a way to block her. Minnesota with just 1 block in this entire match. They need to be averaging 3 or 4 a game in order to win.
Stacey Gordon, a senior from Oshawa, Ontario, about 20-minute drive from Toronto. Her father played hockey, mother ran cross country, so she started competing originally in the game of ringette, similar to hockey. She started competing at age 4. Well, it's a game where there's no physical contact. You use a stick to poke at a blue rubber ring.
Is it like curling?
No. But it's like hockey. Gordon now has 14 kills in this match, but she competed on the Canadian junior national team as a teenager, considered staying with the Canadian national team through college, but decided playing at Ohio State would benefit her more in the long run. And obviously the Buckeyes have benefited from Stacey Gordon. She'll become a 4-time All-American this week, the Big Ten all-time kills leader.
And you know that every coach that's watching at home that's no longer competing in the NCAA tournament is thinking, why didn't I recruit here? It's hard to believe Stacey Gordon did not have any paid recruiting visits. You're allowed to go on 5 official recruiting trips. She did not go on 1, was not invited to go on 1.
Now, obviously in Canada, she's not going to get as scouted as much as U.S. players, but she played in club tournaments in the U.S.
Well, and when you're on the junior national team, people are going to know about you. You just can't go under the radar. It was a big miss by a lot of coaches.
Credit Jim Stone and his staff at Ohio State for plucking Stacey Gordon out of Oshawa, Ontario.
And out of, what's that game you were talking about? Ringing?
Ringette.
Ringette.
I think CSTV has the Ringette College Championships coming up later this winter.
Hey, if it's to be had, CSTV has it.
Gordon has 14 kills. She had 10 in game 1. She had 10 kills in one of the games last night as well. Make it 15 kills. She swings from all over the floor. Back row, in the middle, on the outside.
That's what I like about Maine. And, you know, this is a first-year setter going up with one of the best players in the country as your teammate. And she's not at all intimidated to move her around. I mean, it's better that's the quarterback that's pulling out those offensive plays. And she's not just going high outside to Gordon. She's moving around and putting her in positions to succeed.
Long, giving Ohio State a 14-10 advantage. Both these teams went 5 games last night, but Minnesota does not look as sharp as the Golden Gophers had for much of the season. After effect of that?
You know, no, I just think they've come out flat. I don't think it has to do with the match last night. They're at home, they're in the comforts, they've got their own routine. I just think that they are not executing.
Over 5,000 mostly Golden Gopher fans here at the Sports Pavilion, trying to send Minnesota to the NCAA semifinals for the 2nd straight year. That was somewhere Minnesota volleyball had never been until 2003.
Offensively, Minnesota just not getting it done in the second game, hitting 25%, but allowing Ohio State to hit 52%. And again, misserves continue to plague both teams. You know, I think that's a sign of just how important this match is. Neither team thinks it can let up on the service line and win. They know they have to take some risks.
That's what Mike Hebert told his team. We have to serve tough. That tough serve from Kelly Bowman gets things started for Minnesota.
And this time, a little bit of offense, redirection with the ball, gets a hole in the block, and a little bit more variety, which is what Minnesota needs offensively.
That's in. Danielle Myers. Puts it down off a good back set from Teresa Main. Sophomore from Louisville, Kentucky.
There's the blocker calling her blocks. They'll either do a 1 or a 2, whether she's blocking line or angle.
Stevens right into the double block, something that Minnesota has not done well tonight.
Yeah, blocking, you know, I talked to Jim Stone before the game, and he said on paper, Minnesota is a physically bigger and better blocking team, and we need to be aware of that and hit around it. So far tonight, Ohio State's actually been the better blocking team, and that's something that Jim Stone likes because it's not what he expected.
It's a missed passage for Ohio State, so Gordon has to volley it back across and a free ball for Minnesota. Golden Gophers can't do much with it, though. Finally, the big swing, just in. Maya Mack swings outside and puts Ohio State back up by 4.
And now Minnesota's starting to look at each other. That's a bad sign. You're starting to question the official. Zhen Shu looked at the official and shook her head. They've got to focus, come together, get a little bit better chemistry out on the court, stop questioning and doubting.
Jinshu back to serve for Minnesota. She is the libero. This is the first year that a libero can serve.
She's a good one. Has a great jump, float, and top spin. This time going with the top spin.
Yeah, Ricky Williams, back when he was playing football, and Cedric Benson, after every play, they just kind of come up looking hurt no matter what happens. That's what every play is like for Paula Jinshu.
I mean, make it look easy.
Jinshu with the pancake. Sets it up for Martin. The dig, Jinshu comes and gets it again. Second chance for Martin. Into the block. Jinshu has to volley back across. Finally, the rally ends. Martin on their third attempt.
And this is vintage Minnesota volleyball. Look at Jinshu just flying. She's that free safety all over the place. And then defense converting into points. A great block that time.
Ohio State answers back with Maya Matskill. Buckeyes go back up by 2. Stevens to serve for Ohio State. Bowman back sets it. Tejas puts it down. Two setters.
Minnesota showing a little bit more variety. In game 1, it was all about Aaron Martin. Nobody else really getting involved offensively. Now we're seeing more variety, harder to defend. Because of that, we're not seeing as many Ohio State points.
5 kills for Tejas, but the service error will return serve to the Buckeyes, now leading by 2. Gordon is there for the block. Jinshu keeps it alive. Ohio State swings it outside. Meyer with a big swing. Jinshu digs it out again. Into the middle. Dug out by Tejas. And Ohio State trying to set Gordon on the outside. Jinshu waiting for it. Try Gordon again on the left side. Again, Jinshu waiting. Martin doesn't get much on it. Welcome to those of you watching USC and Nebraska. The two-time defending national champion women of Troy advanced to Long Beach here at the Minneapolis Regional. It is Minnesota and Ohio State trying to join them in the NCAA championships. Ohio State took game 1. And what is shaping up to be another great game for Stacey Gordon. That kill gives the Ohio State senior 17 kills in the match. Buckeyes up 4 in game 2. At the Sports Pavilion, over 5,000 fans to watch the 5-seed Ohio State take on 4th-seeded Minnesota. Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox and our entire CSTV crew from Minneapolis. It has been a case of too much Stacey Gordon for Minnesota.
Well, 2 Big Ten teams squaring off. They're very familiar with one another, split in regular season. Minnesota knows that as Stacey Gordon goes, Ohio State goes. And so far, Stacey has been on fire. 17 kills already. Had 35 a night ago in the 5-game win against Tennessee. Minnesota has to find a way to slow her down.
Gordon, the Big Ten all-time kills leader, has gotten the better of the Big Ten's all-time digs leader, Paula Jinshu. She's the libero for Minnesota.
Yeah, both players 4th all-time in NCAA career. Paula for digs, Stacey for kills. It's a one-on-one matchup. The coaches have them in the rotations that they want, meaning Gordon is hitting when Jinshu's in the back row. But right now, Gordon winning the chess match.
And Ohio State leading by 3 in game 2, 22-19. Stacey Gordon, the senior from Oshawa, Ontario, 3-time All-American. Many feel, including Georgia Tech coach Bon Szymanski, that she will be the National Player of the Year. And that's announced on Wednesday.
And that is also what Bon was saying. Ohio State was doing so well in game 1, was running Stacey Gordon on a variety of sets, including the slide. Nice adjustment in game 2 by Minnesota, recognizing that Gordon's really going to move antenna to antenna and try and find some gaps in the block.
Golden Gophers trying to put their defense together and come back in game 2. Buckeyes up 2 in Minneapolis.
This presentation of NCAA Volleyball on CSTV is brought to you in part by Nintendo. Who are you?
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
This man thinks the orange juice he's drinking will help lower his cholesterol. This man knows Minute Maid Heartwise is clinically proven to do just that. Because only Minute Maid Heartwise contains added cholesterol reducers. Minute Maid Heartwise, for your one and only heart.
The charge of the organization, the ABCA, is to help promote volleyball at all levels.
Volleyball is a sport that grows like by groundswell, and you need someone to organize it. For the volleyball world, the ABCA has been the guiding light.
We have an opportunity by joining the ABCA to become better volleyball coaches. I think it's our responsibility to work hard to become better, and we have an avenue to do so by the ABCA.
The attention that's drawn to our sport has been drawn to us through the ABCA.
Do you know who I am? How about me? Or me. I'm a gymnast. I'm a point guard and an honor student. I'm gonna be a pediatrician.
Research proves that girls who participate in sports are more likely to be successful in life. The Women's Sports Foundation provides programs, grants, and scholarships so all women can excel, no matter what the field.
So if you don't know who I am, you will.
Get to know the Women's Sports Foundation.
There are two sides to me. The all-conference catcher side, that's my tough side. And the side of me studying for a career in marine mammal rescue, that's my soft side. I'm finding I really need both sides to be the whole person that I want to be.
There are over 360,000 NCAA student athletes, and just about all of us will be going pro in something other than sports.
Tough assignment for Stacy Gordon and the Ohio State Buckeyes playing here in Minneapolis tonight, but it's not like Ohio State hasn't done this before.
No, Jim Stone finds a way to win on the opponent's home floor. In fact, undefeated 2-0 in regional finals on opponent's floor at Long Beach and at Nebraska. So history on the Buckeye side.
And yet Minnesota is 8-0 in NCAA tournament play here at the Sports Pavilion.
Something's gotta give. Jen Shu tried to lighten the mood a little bit. She has upped her play, I think, in the second game. She's been a little bit more loose, a little bit more mobile, getting a lot more digs, which have created offensive opportunities for the Gophers.
That was the interesting thing that Mike Hebert said, postseason, time to relax.
Interesting, he said, this is not when we get more intense, more fired up. This is the time to enjoy, and this is our reward.
They're enjoying it right now. Aaron Martin gets the block to put Minnesota up 1.
The things they didn't do well in game one, they're doing in game two. Blocking what's critical in game one. They've also got a lot more variety. They're serving tougher, forcing Gordon a little out of rhythm.
Stacy Gordon when she gets a good set. 18 kills.
And this is a 32. It's a little bit quicker. The typical outside set is called a 4 or a 44. It's high and lobby. That 32 is meant to beat the ball to Minnesota's block.
That violation. Point to Minnesota.
No surprise that we should be neck and neck in game one. Minnesota had game point. Stacy Gordon was swinging for it, got a very light touch, turned the tide of the game. Won't be surprised if something that critical comes up to decide game two as well.
Golden Gophers 2 points away from evening this match at 1 game apiece. Coming up at intermission, we'll send you to the field house. Greg Amsinger and UC Santa Barbara coach Kathy Gregory standing by to break down the day of regional finals in the NCAA volleyball tournament. Jen Shu keeps it up, setting up Bradford. Castine digs it out of the back row for Ohio State. Miscommunication and a free ball for Minnesota. Tejas setting up Nelson. Castine keeps it alive. Gordon, 19 kills in the match. And Ohio State and Minnesota are tied again, this time at 28.
Once again, Gordon coming up. She's been steady throughout the match, but when she really shines is in crunch time. At the end of games, she just becomes the go-to. Minnesota has to recognize that. Why not put 3 blockers up on her?
Maybe a halftime adjustment. Mike Hebert said that Gordon gets better as the match goes on. That was touch. And it's point Ohio State. Minnesota did not think so, but the line judge said it was touch, giving Ohio State game point.
And I'm sure Kathy Gregory will have a lot to say in the intermission on how to stop a Stacey Gordon type player. There's got to be, from a coach's perspective, something you do to shake things up to find a way to slow her down.
Her 20th kill, you think this is a kill?
Watch to see if there's any redirection on the ball. Does it change? It does. It looks like it goes up a little bit off the touch of the fingertips. Doesn't matter how slight, any touch is a touch, and advantage to the hitter.
For the complete television broadcast schedule for all NCAA championship games available in your area, go to ncaasports.com. ncaasports.com is the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. When we're done here in Minneapolis, we send you out to Seattle, where Washington and UCLA will complete the day and complete the NCAA semifinals in Long Beach. Stacey Gordon would love to make that trip out to Long Beach. She's doing her part with 20 kills.
And then some. Two-time Big Ten Player of the Year, and just has an explosive shoulder, a heavy shoulder, hits every ball. You're seeing a lot of the swings from the left side, but we've also got some swings from behind. They're really trying to move her around, make her a little bit more versatile so that she can't be quite as predictable. Minnesota is yet to find a way to block her. Only blocked her one time this entire match.
The senior from Ontario has Ohio State at game point. Buckeyes trying to go up 2-0 at the Sports Pavilion in Minneapolis, but that is a double contact. Jim Stone and the Buckeye coaches duck protest.
And now watch to see how Marisa Main responds. A sophomore, but a first-year setter playing in the biggest match of her life.
Pretty well.
It helps that her teammates got her a beautiful pass. And again, they're running that quicker attack to Gordon so that she can crank inside, sharp inside the block.
21 kills in the match for Stacey Gordon. It's game point again for Ohio State. Not for long.
Yeah, the good news for Minnesota, Gordon rotates to the back row. That gives Minnesota some life.
Tied at 30, you have to win by 2. Jin Chu keeps it alive. Somehow Tejas ran it down. Bradford sends it across. Ohio State with a quick set, but just a little bit off for Danielle Meyer.
And this just too risky a set. Main getting pulled away, needs to go with the safer set, but she doesn't have Gordon to go to unless she uses her out of the back row.
Game point Minnesota. There is Gordon in the back row off the tape.
When all else fails, you've been called for a double, and then you've got a bad set. Go to your bread and butter. Go what's comfortable for you. And that's Main to Gordon.
Gordon has 12 kills in game 2, 22 in the match. Game point Minnesota again.
I've been so impressed with the way the two setters for Minnesota in this 6-2 offensive scheme, two setters, but both of them become hitters at different points of the offense, and both are playing their role brilliantly.
Bradford to serve at game point for Minnesota. After the big swing, Minnesota digs it out, but it's wide, and we're tied at 32. And if you're new to volleyball, imagine this game going to 48-46. That's what we had last night between Minnesota and Georgia Tech.
NCAA playoff record, most points scored in a game.
Bowman with the back set. Burns puts it down. Jessica Burns, the junior, rotates in and gets a key kill for the Golden Gophers.
In game 1, it was all about Erin Martin for the Gophers. In game 2, they found more balance and more versatility with players like Burns and Nelson stepping up.
Game point Minnesota. A soft touch. Bowman digs it out. Pinata with a big swing. Minnesota wins game 2.
And the question, what was Pinata doing in the front row? Mike Hebert had to have run out of substitutions. He had a defensive specialist swing on game point. Unbelievable.
That's what Jim Stone's talking about. Was she a back row attacker or not?
Now, Marcy Pinata rotated into the front row because they'd run out of substitutions, only 12 allowed per game. Huge swing for the defensive specialist at 5'8". She comes from a volleyball family, has played volleyball her entire life, and takes the smartest swing of her career.
Evening us 1-1 in Minneapolis.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
Okay, here's a little pop quiz for you. Name any Oscar winner. Name one character from a Hollywood film. Easy, right? Oh, one more question. Name one character your kid learned about in English class.
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school, and know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
ABCA intermission highlights featuring a whole lot of Stacey Gordon. 22 kills in the match so far for Ohio State. We're just at intermission. Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox from the championship match of the Minneapolis Regional, where these two familiar foes duking it out. So far, Ohio State's got the better of the match.
They certainly had the better of game one, but Minnesota made some great adjustments in game two. They're a much better blocking team. They've also gotten a lot more balance from players on the right side. Kelly Bowman and Lindsay Tages have stepped up for Minnesota. Ohio State needs a little bit more balance. Yes, Stacey Gordon has been great with 22, but somebody needs to step up.
Who's it going to be for Ohio State that steps up? First, let's take a look at the stats for the first couple of games.
I think the blocking is the stat that really tells the story for me. Ohio State has 7, Minnesota 5, but 4 of those came in the second game, and that was finally when Minnesota found a way to slow down Ohio State's juggernaut offensively. They still haven't figured out Stacey Gordon, but they've got a handle on the rest so far.
1-1 to start game 3. Ohio State. And Minnesota even at 1-1. Take a look at those numbers again.
Ohio State still doing the better job, hitting at 33%, much better. I think Minnesota wants to be right around there, hovering around maybe 350. Again, the blocking stands out. Also, the service errors. That was the one thing that really hurt Ohio State. 10 service errors opposed to just 2 aces. I think they need a better ratio, maybe a 2-to-1 ratio.
And Minnesota said that they were going to serve tough, and maybe Jin Chu serving a little too tough. She says, my fault. It is a service error, breaking the Minnesota rally. The dink at the net. Saved by Stevens. Jin Chu keeps it up. Martin trying to go cross court. Ohio State sends it back. Martin again, right into the block. Brianna McCarthy was just pouncing on the Martin hit.
This is a good sign for Buckeye fans. That block not existent in game 2, but in game 1, the game that they actually came ahead in, they were blocking much better.
That was not touched, and it's now the up official says it was touched. Joan Powell think the correct call says it was touched by Minnesota, and it's point Ohio State. Back set, Nelson down the line for the kill, giving Minnesota 4th point of game 3, even at 4.
The balance that we're seeing out of Minnesota. We saw all Aaron Martin in game 1. Since then, we've seen Burns, Bradford, Nelson, Bowman, and Tages all get involved, and that's been the difference. It's neutralized Ohio State's block. Most impressive, it's been Tages and Bowman on the right side, putting up huge numbers for setters and hitters.
Setting up again, Tages gets it to Meredith Nelson.
And don't forget, Tages and Bowman, I call them setters and hitters because they're running that unusual offense. Here it's Tages setting the ball, but they run a 6-2, so they split the job as setter, which is like playing at 2 different quarterbacks in a football game. It changes the chemistry, it changes the tempo.
Jincho and Tages both go for that ball. The block for Ohio State goes wide. Point Minnesota at 7-5. 6-5.
Great athleticism on the block. Ohio State going shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, forming the perfect block.
Yet another service error. 9th of the match for Minnesota. 2nd already in game 3. Even 6-6 with Gordon to serve for Ohio State.
And, you know, service error to me is just like a turnover in basketball. I mean, you're just giving the opponent in volleyball a point. In basketball, obviously, puts the possession. But when you get numbers like 10 or 15 service errors, it's a lot like 15 turnovers in a basketball game, which you know is bad. You just don't want that many. You got to keep it under 10.
And yet both these teams on the service error. Double digits already for Ohio State, 9 for Minnesota. Jincho trying to set it up into the middle. Kelly Bowman, and yet Ohio State keeps it alive. Stevens digs it out. Meyer can't get to that one, and Minnesota takes an 8-7 lead.
And Bradford taking very smart swings. 5th kill on the day, but showing that she didn't need a lot of heat, just the top spin to get the ball to drop.
Free ball for the Buckeyes. Gordon takes care of it. 23rd kill of the match for Stacey Gordon. Big Ten Player of the Year, could be the National Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think her toughest competition is Ogana Namani out of Stanford, former Olympian.
Ogana Namani in the 2 Stanford wins this weekend over Texas and Wisconsin. Averaged 10 kills a game.
And Stacey Gordon doing her best to one-up Ogana Namani. We've got a little battle of the top 2 hitters in the country. Stanford right now, I think, the hottest team in the country, undefeated over the last 2 months. And it's players like Ogana Namani, Christian Richards getting it done. The one question mark for Stanford, they have a very young setter, but I think the key, they've got a great setting coach in John Dunning. Works wonders with the setting position, really known as his specialty, so he's got her ready to play.
The Stanford Cardinal goes 6-0 this weekend in Green Bay, sweeping both Texas and Wisconsin. Remember, the Badgers are basically playing on their home floor in Green Bay. Not quite their home floor, but home state anyway.
Sure, Pete Wade had a great squad this year. I saw them earlier, and they were a very veteran, very solid team. Hats off to John Dunning and company for getting the win away from home.
So it's now down to just 7 teams remaining. Correction, now down to just 5 teams remaining in the country. I'll figure that out in a second. But here are the brackets.
Pac-10 looking strong. USC and Stanford both emerging, both playing great volleyball. Both had some losses early on in the season. Stanford lost to St. Mary's twice, but has then just gone on this tear. USC doing the same thing. They've been up and down, but now I think they're playing their best volleyball. Mick Haley's got them in a position to win for the first time 3 consecutive national championships. You're going to start running out of fingers after a while, Mick.
With Nebraska, with Nebraska and Texas.
Both of those were surprises. I thought, now that USC's gone through Nebraska, I think USC has a very good shot of winning the national championship. I thought Nebraska, as we saw, would give them a run for their money. They've got a great freshman in Sarah Pavin, and John Cook gave them everything they could handle.
Well, the Huskers are gone. Hawaii is gone. You put USC as the favorite in Long Beach?
Well, I like them to advance to the national championship game. They will play the winner of this match, and I hate to look ahead. I just think that experience factor would be absolutely huge, having the confidence of already winning back-to-back championships.
And then, of course, up next here on CSTV, it's Washington and UCLA from Seattle, the final of the 4 regional championships we brought you today.
And Jim McLaughlin's Washington team was eliminated by this very same Minnesota team a year ago in the regional finals. Jim McLaughlin, Coach of the Year candidate for sure, wants to get back, wants to top off their season from a year ago with 1 more win.
They'll be playing in front of the home folks in Seattle. Tied 1 game apiece between Ohio State and Minnesota here at the Minneapolis Regional. Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox and our entire CSTV crew from the Sports Pavilion. Over 5,000 on hand to watch the Golden Gophers and the Buckeyes battle it out for the 3rd time this season. But in this match, a spot in Long Beach in the NCAA semifinals on the line. Service errors.
Just continues to flag, and I just hate to harp on it, but it's so mental, especially when you're playing at home. When you're on the road, you can sometimes say, I was distracted by the crowd, the background was a little bit different. You know, if the color of the wall behind where you're serving is different, it's a little bit harder to perform, but Minnesota has no excuse.
Bradford right into the block. Nelson punches it across for Minnesota. Meyer gets the kill for Ohio State. We're tied at 14. Danielle Meyer, one of the outstanding freshmen for Ohio State. The recruiting class was ranked number 4.
You see some great chemistry out of Meyer, Stevens, also Brittenreich, because they all play close together in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. So yes, even though they're young and they're freshmen, they come in and play with a lot of enthusiasm and chemistry.
Buckeyes took game 1. Minnesota took game 2. And now Minnesota leading by 1 in game 3 of the Minneapolis Regional Final.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
I'm never really away from the game. If I'm not playing it, I'm practicing it. If I'm not practicing it, I'm thinking it. And if I'm not thinking it, I must be sleeping. And then I'm dreaming it. Sacrifice is what got me to this level. But there are some things you just can't sacrifice. Never compromise. Tachikara Volleyball.
Stacey Gordon has 29 kills in the match for Ohio State, and the Buckeyes are 3 points away from taking a 2-1 advantage in Minneapolis in the regional final. Trip to the NCAA semis on the line. Gordon with another laser, her 30th kill of the match.
And Carter, that's the key. Can Stacey Gordon take over late in the game from the back row? And she just gave us the answer. Absolutely.
Gets it started with the serve again. Ohio State 2 points away from the win. Minnesota not done yet. Meredith Nelson gets the kill for the Golden Gophers.
On any sort of bad pass, look for Ohio State to continue to use Gordon out of the back row. The key here, Nelson's got to serve very tough so that even that's difficult.
Nice up from Tejas. Steps it up for Bradford. Back across for Ohio State. Set goes to Stevens, and she puts it down, giving Ohio State game point.
Anytime they can get some numbers from the other hitters is huge. That time Stevens hits a field goal right through the hands of Minnesota's block.
Don't expect to see the number of service errors we've had in a regional final match, do you?
No, it's surprising. And it just tells you the type of pressure that these players are under tonight.
Bowman gets that one across for Minnesota. Here's Gordon out of the back row. Yet Jinshu digs it out. Minnesota staying alive. Down 29-27. And a timeout, Ohio State. Jim Stone doesn't want to let this one slip away. Buckeyes will have game point yet again.
Stacey Gordon remains in the back row. The key for Minnesota has been Jen Shu's defense. The conversion rate Minnesota has when Jen Shu digs the ball is phenomenal. I bet it's about 85%. They constantly convert and score when Paula Jen Shu digs.
She's a mean Golden Gopher. Live Friday at 8 Eastern, College Sports Television faces off with the only nationally televised hockey coverage in the country. Next week, defending NCAA champion Denver travels to take on the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth. Just up the road, Denver versus Minnesota Duluth, live Friday at 8 Eastern on Friday Night Hockey, TGI Hockey.
Paula Jen Shu, we described her as the free safety of the volleyball world. She has the green light, absolute freedom from Mike Hebert to go wherever she chooses on the court to make a dig, and that's why she's averaging more than 7 kills for digs per game. She's all over the place. I talk about defense being 99% mental. That is why she's so good at it. There is never 1 second of hesitation in Jen Shu's defensive style.
When she was recruited to Minnesota, the libero position didn't even exist. She was an outside hitter in high school playing in a club tournament when then Minnesota assistant coach Brian Heffernan just wandered by the floor where she was playing, watched her make a couple of defensive plays and said, she can be our libero. Couldn't quite get to that one. Point Ohio State, the Buckeyes take game 3. Ohio State with a 3-point win in game 3. Take a 2-1 advantage on Minnesota. 30 kills in the match for Stacey Gordon.
Great net play. Once again, Maya Mapp continues to be an incredible athlete tonight. Just coming up big when they need her. Senior leader, important right now.
Ohio State is 1 game away from a trip to Long Beach in the NCAA semifinals. Minnesota trying to come back in game 4.
Drive, throw stuff, switch. For a limited time, get Mario Kart Double Dash free when you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99. Rated everyone.
I got a little pop quiz for you. About what? Me. What do I have a hard time keeping shut? Name one team I played for. And what is my nickname? And now I got one for you. Do you know your kid's principal's nickname?
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school. And know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
I guess that I'm out of the running then for the Notre Dame head coaching job, Heather. My name was thrown in there.
Yours was the only name that wasn't in there at some point during
I never confirmed nor denied that I was in there for the NCAA, for the Notre Dame head football coaching job, but I didn't get it.
It's gone. That's the good news.
Oh, good luck. Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox here from Minneapolis for the championship match of the Minneapolis Regional Final. Ohio State 1 game away from the semifinals in Long Beach.
And they've done it behind balance, finally. They've had Stacey Gordon the entire match, but Maya Mapp, the other senior, has stepped up to play 15 kills. Maya Mapp hitting .520, just a career night, helping her team to 64 kills. Service errors continue to plague both teams, but Ohio State stepped up in that 3rd game, and blocking again a factor.
Paula Jen Shu trying to make herself a factor in game 4. Back at the service line, the junior from Brazil. 3-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Probably the best libero anywhere in college volleyball. And since she's the first group of liberos, probably the best ever to play the position. Matt saves that one, keeps it alive. And McCarthy finishes it off, but credit Maya Mapp for keeping that ball alive. She somehow went outside the antenna and kept it alive for McCarthy.
And for the 4th time, the NCAA is using that libero position. It's a back row specialist. You'll notice she's wearing a different colored jersey. Means that she can sub in and out at any time. Doesn't count as one of the 12 substitutions each game. And for the first time this year, is allowed to serve.
Mike Hebert loves that rule because Jen Shu's a heck of a server.
What's interesting about Jen Shu as a serving libero is she's got a very bad right shoulder. In fact, I've been watching her as this match has progressed. She's rubbing it a lot more. It seems to be bothering her. During the middle of the season, that she was actually serving left-handed, but she was so effective left-handed that coach didn't sub her out. I mean, he could bring somebody in to serve, but why bother when she's better than most as a lefty?
838 digs this season. That is an NCAA record. That was coming into this match. And when Jin Shu is digging balls, it just sets up the rest of the Minnesota offense. And you say, well, how can a defensive player, a libero, set up the offense so well? But correct me if I'm wrong, but passing is such a key part of the way the offense works.
Oh, without it, I mean, first contact rules, and that is the difference between having a high hitting percentage and not. The conversion between defense to offense is critical for success in volleyball. And you know, Carter, I truly believe that the reason that Mike Hebert and this Minnesota squad is where it's been the last 2 years, which is national semifinals a year ago, could be this year, is because of Paula Zhenshu. He had the foresight to know that the NCAA was going to instigate the rule, so he recruited ahead of time and actually recruited a player for that specialized position, whereas other coaches just turned an outside hitter that maybe wasn't tall enough, maybe wasn't strong enough at the net. They turn outside hitters into liberos, and you know, that wasn't their calling. They weren't naturally gifted defensive ball control players like Paula Zhenshu.
Well, we've heard from Kathy Gregory throughout the day at the field house, and talking to her at UC Santa Barbara earlier this year, she said the libero is going to become the most important position in college volleyball, and Mike Hebert was ahead of everybody in the country in getting Paula Zhenshu.
And Chrissy Zartman at UCLA is that type of player as well, but she's younger, you know, so Andy Banikowski knew when he recruited her that she would fill that position, but Mike Hebert looking ahead to the future of volleyball.
The rule wasn't even instituted when they recruited Paula Zhenshu and committed the position to her. It was later during that offseason that the libero rule was officially approved for NCAA play.
Right, international volleyball had been using it, men's volleyball had been using it, so the guess was it was going to migrate to the women's game.
Out of the back row, Gordon looking like a libero with a pancake. But the point goes to Minnesota, and Gordon yelling at her teammates to step up the defensive efforts.
Now watch, not only does Paula Zhenshu dig this ball, but digs it to perfection right up to her setter, so her setter can deliver a hittable ball. I mean, Zhenshu for MVP right now.
She's coming back next year. She will be a senior, and the National Player of the Year has been a lot like the Heisman Trophy. It goes to the best offensive player. But don't be surprised if Paula Zhenshu makes a run at National Player of the Year next season in 05. Coleman to Bradford. Golden Gophers up 8-5 in game 4.
Whenever Minnesota finds balance, it finds success. 4 players in double-digit kills for the Golden Gophers. That's what Mike Hebert needs. Keep Ohio State's block guessing, because as Ohio State's block go, they go so far tonight.
Dr. Mike Hebert in Minnesota playing for their NCAA lives.
This presentation of NCAA Volleyball on CSTV is brought to you in part by Miller. There's good enough, and there's better than it has to be. Miller, good call.
Special delivery, ladies.
Well, look who's here.
Got your fresh beer right here.
What do you got? I got intentional taste mask. All American brewed beers are fresh. This guy's hiding something. You?
Illegal use of the hand truck, distributing beer with less taste.
Place it with Miller Lite. More taste.
Half the carbs.
You can't flag the king.
Right.
Okay, we got multiple penalties on Dan. Intentional
Miller.
taste mask.
Good call.
Illegal use of the hand truck.
The charge of the organization, the ABCA, is to help promote volleyball at all levels.
Volleyball is a sport that grows like by groundswell, and you need someone to organize it. For the volleyball world, the ABCA has been the guiding light.
We have an opportunity by joining the ABCA to become better volleyball coaches. I think it's our responsibility to work hard to become better, and we have an avenue to do so by the ABCA.
The attention that's drawn to our sport has been drawn to us through the ABCA.
At Minnesota, we make discoveries, not just read about them.
At Minnesota, we connect with people and ideas from around the world.
At Minnesota, we reach across boundaries to improve people's lives.
We are
one of America's great public universities, the University of Minnesota.
What am I? Am I a basketball player who's a psychology major? Or am I a psychology major who's a basketball player? You know, that's the thing about psychology. You tend to overanalyze everything.
There are over 360,000 NCAA student athletes, and just about all of us will be going pro in something other than sports.
In a championship match of the Minneapolis Regional, it's 5-seed Ohio State with a 2-1 advantage on the 4-seed Minnesota. Carter Blackburn with Heather Cox and our entire CSTV crew. And coming up next, we send you to Seattle. Washington and UCLA meet again with a berth in the NCAA championships in Long Beach on the line. That is coming up next, and we will keep you posted on Washington and UCLA because they're just about ready to get started out in Seattle.
Like in this region, 2 Big Ten foes facing. In that region, 2 Pac-10 teams facing. And UCLA returns 5 starters, but they were hurt early on. They had a number 3 preseason ranking, but hurt early by injuries. Now they're finally healthy, and I think Andy Banikowski's team finally playing the type of volleyball they thought they'd play all season.
We talked about the Big Ten and Pac-10 strong show. Disappointing for the Big 12. Nebraska is out. Around the Elite 8. And Texas swept by Stanford. That regional semi. Wow. Jessie Jones, the freshman from Naperville, Illinois, finally gets a solution for Stacey Gordon.
And that's exactly why she was put into this game, to match up on Gordon out of the back row. Jones watches the shoulder, not the ball. That's the key to being a good blocker, and when you're blocking somebody out of the back row, you've got to wait.
Jones 6'3", and she is long. Now Stacey Gordon knows all about Jessie Jones. 9-6 Minnesota. The Golden Gophers have to win this game to keep their season alive, trying to get to the NCAA semifinals for the 2nd consecutive year. Jinshu there to dig it out. Aaron Martin, but it is off the antenna. Point Ohio State. Martin knew it.
Wow, Minnesota's serve-receive with its 2 best ball handlers. Take a look, they're just sharing the court. They're the only 2 that'll pass the entire court.
Missed passes there for Ohio State, giving Minnesota the 3-point advantage. 14 kills for Aaron Martin for Minnesota.
And Minnesota switched its strategy, now serving Stacey Gordon. Try to wear her out after the night she had last night.
Martin bidding for the 15th kill, but it's tipped at the net. McCarthy tries the dunk. Pinata runs it down. Castine setting to the net. McCarthy gets it, but dug out by Minnesota. On the overpass, free ball for the Golden Gophers. Nelson swings outside into the double block, but she fights through it.
And Carter, I love Minnesota's strategy right now. Early in the match, they were starving Stacey Gordon, not allowing her to touch the ball and get into any rhythm whatsoever. Now they're giving her every single ball, trying to wear her down, trying to make her win the match by herself for Ohio State.
Serve Gordon again there. It was touched, and that's point Minnesota.
And once again, Gordon passing the middle of the court. They will continue to go to her. Just pressure, pressure, pressure. Make her start thinking about it too much.
Jinshu with a hard serve. Stevens tools the block, point Ohio State. It up for Nelson. No net violation, says the up official. Down the line, and that is in.
Beautiful swing down the line by Aaron Martin. That is one of the toughest swings. Very low percentage, high risk. Watch the small window that she has to hit through. Just cranks it over her body. Very deceptive swing.
McCarthy gets the kill in the middle. Both offenses starting to heat up in game 4.
And McCarthy has been very quiet. She is somebody that Ohio State needs to establish.
The back set much about Kelly Bowman, but she has had an outstanding sophomore season. First team All-Big Ten, ABCA All-Region selection. Last night in the semis had her NCAA leading 8 triple-double. 43 assists, 10 kills, and 16 digs.
And if Minnesota comes away and wins this match, I think it's because of the right side play. That position between Kelly Bowman and Lindsay Tages has been invaluable. Another offensive weapon at all times, and also quarterbacking and running this team, and they've been great leaders. The two of them sort of a two-headed monster at that right side position.
Kelly Bowman, a sophomore from Maple Grove, Minnesota. Both parents went to the University of Minnesota, and Kelly's older sister, Jen Bowman, is a senior on the Minnesota bench. Hasn't played a whole lot. She transferred here from Long Beach State to play with her sister. Things going well for Minnesota. The wheels are falling off for the Buckeyes.
And they are just feeling it, hitting on all cylinders. Everybody's starting to get involved now for Minnesota. 4 players, double-digit kills. Now people starting to block, and oh yeah, it's contagious, Meredith.
The Golden Gophers lead by 7. This is the biggest lead of the match for Minnesota.
Two words for you. Pop quiz. Ready? Name any funny movie. A drama. Name a mystery. And one more thing. Name the movie your kids saw today in science class.
Know what really matters. Know about your kid's school. And know about your kid. Find out 100 ways to know more, do more.
Did you hear what I said earlier? When that motor's making horsepower and that nitro's just belching out of them pipes and she's smoking the tires. You can't calm the car down. You can't even cool it down. But you can always cool the driver down. With Powerade. Now, is that sucking up or what?
Fight, fight for yes. The sons of Eli are out for glory. On to the fray. We'll tell to Harvard the same old story. Hula, 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 hula. When we rock out for old Harvard, they will holler, hula, hula.
16-9 Minnesota leading Ohio State in Game 4. Heather, what's been the difference for the Buckeyes here in Game 4? Obviously not playing as well as they have the last couple of games.
The difference is Minnesota's adjustments. They've done a great job fine-tuning how to stop Gordon, and the way is to tire her out. They continue to attack her, continue to put more pressure on her. Somebody else needs to step up. Mapp was big earlier. She's been a little quiet, not on the court right now for the Buckeyes.
Minnesota has its biggest lead of the match at 17-9. Golden Gophers need a win in Game 4 to keep this match alive, keep their season alive. That won't help. It just did miss the line. Service error for Minnesota.
In this game, Ohio State offensively has been quiet, hitting just 111 as a team as compared to Game 3, hit 422 to win that game.
When we're done here in Minneapolis, we'll send you to Seattle for UCLA and Washington in the 4th of the 4 NCAA regionals covered today on CSTV. Stanford and USC are in to the NCAA semifinals in Long Beach. Who will join them? Stacey Gordon is certainly doing her part. 34 kills in the match for the Ohio State senior.
Not only does Stacey lead this team offensively, but leads with 36 aces on the season because it's just like a spike, but from the end line. The motion, if you're a good jump server, is exactly like it is when you're attacking at the net. You want to open your shoulders, get the ball out in front of you, and get great topspin on it.
No coincidence that when Gordon goes back to serve, Ohio State's offense finds its rhythm.
Well, it's so much easier to block when you've got a great jump server because the offense of your opponent becomes very predictable. When you get a bad pass, you know the ball's going to the outside.
Guys on the comeback until the net violation. Amy Stevens in to the net.
And that's just a tough freshman mistake. It was over-eager, a little bit over-aggressive, didn't wait for the ball to come to her side.
If Ohio State can win Game 4, they're down by 6 now. If the Buckeyes can win, they're in. Bradford with the big swing, dug out by Castine. Back across to Amy Stevens, just long.
She's celebrating. She doesn't know. And I think you either call a timeout or get some sort of substitution for a momentum change if you're Jim Stone. A couple back-to-back errors by the freshman, and you need to switch things up.
Instead, they keep playing. Go to Danielle Meyer, another of the outstanding Buckeye freshmen.
There you go.
Gordon out of the back row, slams it, but Jinshu keeps it alive. Jones runs it down. Jinshu has to volley it across. Gordon across to Stevens, and another net violation. Here's the update from the Seattle Regional. And Washington off to a slim lead against UCLA.
Washington definitely trying to use home court advantage up there in Seattle.
Remember that regional final is coming up next on CSTV. As soon as we're done in Minneapolis, we'll send you to Seattle for Washington and UCLA. Minnesota trying to force Game 5 on their home floor at the Sports Pavilion in Minneapolis. Golden Gophers up 5 in Game 4.
At Minnesota, we make discoveries, not just read about them.
At Minnesota, we connect with people and ideas from around the world.
At Minnesota, we reach across boundaries to improve people's lives.
We are one of America's great public universities, the University of Minnesota.
Saw a Clemson game, and I got to touch Howard's Rock. It came from Death Valley in the early 60s, and players rub it before each game for good luck. Wish you were here.
CSTV has got a month of college sporting ways, from NCAA football to hoops and rugby days. We've got the bowls, the wrestling, the martial arts displays. Oh, tidings of splash shots and joy. Oh, tidings of splash shots and joy.
Celebrate the season with the One College Sports Show and TGI Hockey. Happy holidays from CSTV.
Paula Jinshu in Minnesota up 5 in Game 4. Mike Heber knows exactly how key she is. The key there is Mike Heber knows Paula Jinshu is really good.
Quite simply, 31 digs tonight. Had 41 last night in the 5-game win, and she's still got energy. She's like the little Energizer bunny out there. I think she could play a 10-gamer and still be going at it.
We saw her mother, Magali, earlier up from Brazil. Mike Heber told me today that Mrs. Jinshu said that when Paula was about 4 years old, she had so much energy around the house, they had to get her involved in sports because she was driving them nuts. So she started playing soccer, and then later a little bit of volleyball mixed in, and she still has a lot of energy.
And now hoping to lead her team to history. Martin continues to find success down the line. Ohio State's block needs to adjust, get closer to that intent.
That dig from Pinata, but the overpass sends it up for Maya Pat. Tages right into the net.
One of the first errors we've seen from that right side position. They've typically been so steady, so consistent out there. Don't forget, Lindsay Tages, the senior, had never been a hitter Until this season, had always been the setter in a 5-1 offense, meaning she sets the entire rotation all the way around.
Martin with a big swing into the back row, where Gordon digs it out across to Stevens. Bowman comes sliding in to keep it alive. Martin down the line again. This one's wide. Let's see what's going on in the Seattle Regional Final again. 10-10 between UCLA and Washington.
No surprise. We've had great volleyball all day long. I wouldn't expect it to end in the Seattle Regional. Expect a 4 or 5 gamer out there, guys.
2 Pac-10 teams are headed to the NCAA semifinals, and one way or another, 3 of the 4 semifinalists are going to be from the Pac-10 and 1 from the Big Ten.
And Minnesota continuing to show its offensive versatility. Tejas making up for her error, finding the donut, that open spot in the middle of the court.
Gordon delivers the 6-pack to Paula Jinshu. 35 kills in the match for Stacey Gordon. The NCAA match record is 47 in NCAA tournament play.
And I think even more importantly, she's taken over 70 swings in this match. If this goes 5, she's going to have a very sore shoulder. Had about 75 swings last night in the 5-game win.
She's going to be like a starting pitcher, icing up that right shoulder after they're done.
Absolutely, and just pepper Jinshu. I love the matchup between the two. I mean, Stacey wants to hit it away from Jinshu, but Paula's everywhere back there. It's hard to do that.
Ohio State gets up for the block. Britton Riker pulls the Buckeyes within 3. Paula Jinshu in Minnesota trying to get that momentum back. The pancake setting up the dink. Tejas. And Martin sends it just wide. She knew she missed it. Just missed it.
Boy, back-to-back hitting errors for Martin, and yes, she's frustrated.
Buckeyes within 2. Ohio State with a win in Game 4 advances to the NCAA semis. You think Stacey Gordon wants to go to Long Beach?
I love the look in her eyes. She is just heated up right now. Look at the intensity, the focus as she rotates into the front row. She knows what she has to do. She knows she's carrying the burden for this Ohio State program. It's been since 1994. They're due.
Stacey Gordon has 37 kills in the match. Ohio State 8 points away from a trip to Long Beach.
And there's a look at Stacey's parents, Stan and Lorraine Gordon, in for the match. And I want to know where she got that shoulder from. Mom or dad, who gave her that hitting arm and who taught her how to play volleyball?
Well, they're both great athletes. Her dad played hockey. Her mom ran cross country. She had a brother who played hockey for the Canadian national team.
And they taught her how to play, what, ringlet?
Ringette.
I just can't get a grasp of that game you're trying to teach me.
Well, just about everything going on here around Minnesota. We're in the sports pavilion, and literally next door is part of the same building at Williams Arena is where the Golden Gopher basketball team plays. This is just earlier today with Minnesota taking on Central Michigan. They got a tough battle from the Chippewas, but in the second half, Minnesota pulls away with some fast break buckets. And the Golden Gopher men's basketball team wins 77-63 over Central Michigan today. Literally, as the teams were practicing here at the Sports Pavilion, you could hear the crowd roaring at Williams Arena just across the wall.
And this is a great sports town. I mean, they love their Gophers. They love their Vikings. Some of them even love the Packers. Bitter rivalry here. It's funny, in the hotel they're selling both Packers and Vikings t-shirts.
They had 14,000 for a box lacrosse game last night here in Minnesota. The hockey fans want to have something to do in the winter. So it's on to box lacrosse with the NHL lockout. Over 5,000 fans here at the Sports Pavilion tonight to see Minnesota and Ohio State do battle. They would be disappointed with a Buckeye win. But now Ohio State is just 7 points away from claiming this regional final.
Thanks in large part to Stacey Gordon. Just amazing. Hitting .389, now 38 kills. The scary part is, that's just just another day's work for Stacey. These are typical day in, day out numbers for Stacey Gordon. This is what she does all season long.
Think she's swaying anybody to vote for National Player of the Year?
Absolutely.
39 kills. Make it a 12-pack for Paula Genshu.
Back-to-back 6-packs for Genshu. Not the type you want, though.
15-13 Washington in Seattle. That regional final is up next on CSTV. Gordon wants it back. She in the zone or what?
Man, she's good.
40 kills for Stacey Gordon. And Ohio State is 5 points away from a trip to Long Beach.
Carter, I'm going to sound like a fool. I can't remember the last time watching somebody perform gave me chills. The way she comes through in crunch time at 25 to 30 points, she does everything to perfection for this team.
Ohio State is a team that went 11-17 last season. Stacey Gordon called it one of the worst experiences of her life. She was not used to losing. You see that competitive fire. She doesn't want to lose tonight.
She is just so focused. She knows that every ball that Maine can get to her is coming her way.
Gordon with the set. She wants it back. Minnesota there for the block. Now Gordon's going to have to just volley it back across, and that's an error. She sent it just a little bit too long.
And Lorraine and Stan not happy with that play. Free ball's tough when you're back to the court. You got to keep aware of where you are.
Down the line, just out though. Danielle Meyer. Yep. Danielle Meyer thought it was touched.
See that, Danielle Meyer, the freshman, says, nice set. Great call.
Whistle. It's a net violation. So it's point Minnesota.
Once again, Gordon rotates into the back row. See what kind of impact she can make, not just jump serving, but also from the back row attack.
If Ohio State wins the game, they win the match. They win the regional final. That's it. Minnesota is now a point away from forcing game 5.
Great balance this time, redirecting the ball. Tages to Bowman, catching Ohio State off guard.
Oh, the service error at game point. Kelly Bowman.
New life for the Gordon family and the entire Buckeye clan.
The dink. And Ohio State is going to have to play one more game if they want to get to Long Beach. We're headed to game 5. It's the third match of the Minneapolis Regional and the third 5-gamer here at the Sports Pavilion. The Golden Gophers just wouldn't give in to Stacey Gordon.
The difference from Minnesota, offensive versatility. They've had 4 offensive weapons throughout this match. Their right side continues to impress. Lindsay Tages getting it done with a veteran savvy.
Golden Gophers have one more game in them. The decisive game 5 next. Man, got some games. Go out there.
Coming at you from the Fieldhouse here in New York City, I'm Greg Amsinger with CSTV's At the Buzzer. Just another manic Monday in the world of college football. One press conference down, 2 more to go. Earlier today, Charlie Weis was named head coach at Notre Dame. The offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots agreed to a 6-year contract that will reportedly pay him $2 million annually. Weis joins his alma mater 12 days after Tyrone Willingham was let go by the Irish. And in less than 2 weeks, Ty said goodbye to unemployment. Coming up at 2 o'clock Eastern here on CSTV, the University of Washington will announce the hiring of Willingham as the Huskies' new head football coach. The press conferences won't stop there. Tonight at 6 Eastern, Walt Harris will be named the new coach at Stanford. Harris is ready to enjoy a fiesta with his current BCS Bowl-bound Panthers of Pitt. We're also staying on top of the situation at BYU, where defensive coordinator Bronco Mendenhall is expected to be announced as the Cougars' new head football coach. For CSTV's At the Buzzer, I'm Greg.
We go to Game 5 between Minnesota and Ohio State in the Minneapolis Regional Final. Game 5 is going to go by quickly.
1 game to 15, rally scoring point per play. You must win by at least 2. You have the same 12 substitution, 2 timeouts allowed per team. The key is the matchup, getting off to a quick start, because 15 points is going to go by in a hurry. So if you're these coaches, if you're Jim Stone, you want Stacy Gordon starting in left front. And if you're Mike Hebert, you want Paula Genshu starting in right back. That means the two go head-to-head all 3 rotations. It becomes a bit of a chess match, though, because it's called spinning the dial. Coaches will do that to try and create mismatches. But I don't think it's worth Jim Stone not to start Stacy Gordon in the left front, because you just need her so desperately the first couple points of this match.
Genshu has 33 digs in the match, and Stacy Gordon has 41 kills.
Stacy Gordon lining up in the middle back position right now, but I think it's a decoy. We'll see when she moves out of serve receive. She's probably a front row player standing in the back row.
Instead, to the outside, Mapp gets the first set of Game 5. Martin battling hard. She's stuck with it.
And amazingly, Stacy Gordon is actually in the middle back position, starting as a back row player.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, there's a football, too. I think Jim Stone played with the rotation, spun the dial, and won. He doesn't want Stacy Gordon matched up with Genshu in the backcourt.
The net play in Game 5 has gone to Minnesota. Miller gives the Golden Gophers a 2-0 start.
Jones has come in and made an impact every time she's come in as a sub.
Gordon can't put it down. Martin sends it across. Genshu barely keeps it alive. She was surprised to see it float to her. Mapp tips it at the net. The dunk. Minnesota leads 3-0 in Game 5.
Great defense converting into offense from Minnesota. Here's the dig on the redirection, keeping the ball alive. And then finally the put away. Pages and Bowman so impressed with their play on the right side.
Mike Hebert and Minnesota trying to make it back to the NCAA semis for the 2nd straight year.
This presentation of NCAA Volleyball on CSTV is brought to you by Tachikara. We got the ball, you bring the game.
I'm never really away from the game. If I'm not playing it, I'm practicing it. If I'm not practicing it, I'm thinking it. And if I'm not thinking it, I must be sleeping. And then I'm dreaming it. Sacrifice is what got me to this level. But there are some things you just can't sacrifice. Never compromise. Tachikara Volleyball.
Hi, I'm Darryl Green from Texas A&I, and you're watching College Sports TV.
Minnesota off to a red-hot start in Game 5. Remember, we're only playing to 15 in Game 5, so Minnesota has a big step forward.
And literally, because Marcy Pinata is foot faulting on her jump serves. Her first one was a definite foot fault. The last 2 have been close. At any time, if your toe hits the line, it is an immediate point for your opponent.
And yet the officials have yet to call it on Pinata, and she will no longer be serving now as the point goes to the Buckeyes. And Rebecca Castine gets a chance to serve. Bowman sets it across for Aaron Martin, dug out by Ohio State. Castine with her fanny on the floor sends it across to Gordon to keep the point alive. And yet Minnesota ends up winning it.
And that just hurts because an incredible save by Gordon just goes all out. This is improbable to get this up and to get it over. Sure enough, she does just in time to get it hit right back at her.
Genshu with a great serve. Gordon trying to answer. Bowman there to dig it out. Martin right into the block. And yet it's out of bounds. That's point Minnesota. The Golden Gophers off to a 5-1 start in the decisive Game 5.
Just feeding off of this home court.
Service there, and Jin Chu goes down hard. That's nothing new, though. She's a gamer.
Ohio State needs a string of points in a hurry. Rally scoring about a 6 or 7 point deficit to 15 is nearly insurmountable.
Negative 4-point deficit right now. Minnesota 6, Ohio State 2.
Nice quick offense, balance. I can't say it enough how important it is because it's neutralizing Ohio State's block. You see the huge gap now, 5 players in double digits for the Gophers.
That was touched, and it's yet another kill for Stacey Gordon. 42nd of the night.
Just continues to go and give everything she can, willing this team to a victory.
Bowman answers back, cross court. That is a new career high for Stacey Gordon. 42 kills in the match. Stacey does not want to make this her last match.
Combine that with 35 last night, the 5-game win over Tennessee, and those are regional MVP type numbers, but it doesn't mean anything if you go out with a loss.
Mike Ebert said she just keeps getting better as the match goes on, and you're seeing why. You talk about athleticism, technique, but she has the competitive spirit that makes for great players.
And Ebert's got tough decisions to make because he knows she's a rhythm player which thrives on touching the ball a lot. The other thing he knows is she's got to be exhausted, so he plays cat and mouse with her, denying her the ball and then flooding her with it to see which way works.
Golden Gophers 7 points away from ending Stacey Gordon's season with the win here in the regional finals. Teams switch sides with the 8-point in Game 5. Remember, we're only playing to 15. You have to win by 2.
It can be done if you're Ohio State, but it's going to demand perfection. Perfect ball control, quick side outs, meaning you can't allow Minnesota to score more than 1 point in a row at a time.
Ohio State takes a timeout, trailing 8-4 in Game 5. Let's check in with what's going on in Seattle. This regional is up next on CSTV. A good start in Game 1. Washington up 23-22 on UCLA. You surprised to see the Bruins in the regional final?
Actually, no. Andy Banikowski has a knack for getting his team to play its best volleyball come tournament time, and it says a lot for how good this UCLA team is that they beat Penn State and Russ Rose's squad. That was considered an upset by seeding standards.
So here is the way the regionals look on the day. Stanford and USC advancing. Minnesota and Ohio State dueling it out here in Minneapolis. Washington and UCLA are up next.
USC, of course, plays the winner of this one. I don't think they're thinking about that right now. SC is, but these two are just trying to get to 15. They don't care who they play. Minnesota giving Ohio State a little bit of a breather with another service error. That continues to be a story throughout this match. You have to play perfect volleyball in a game to 15. In fact, you let up a little bit from the service line just to keep the ball in.
Jin Chu can't quite get to it. Ohio State with 2 straight points to make Game 5 interesting.
And a huge save by Stacey Gordon to keep the Buckeyes alive. Great dig. That time, Brittany Doms, the defensive specialist, keeping it up.
Coleman into the back row. Doms couldn't get to it. 11 kills in the match for the setter, Kelly Bowman, in the 6-2 offense. And here she is back to serve with Minnesota 6 points away from a trip to Long Beach. Radford through the block. Stevens digs it out. Out of the back row, Gordon off balance. Jin Chu there to dig it out. Tipped at the net though.
Now the up official just said that Ohio State was into the net. The down official official. The down official can make that call and let the up official know, but the up official has ultimate say. He changed his mind, and Jim Stone knows it.
Now, Michael Blaylock is now getting an earful from Jim Stone. Gordon doing her best to keep Ohio State's season alive, and yet on the miss hit, Minnesota 4 points away from claiming the Minneapolis Regional. Up next, you'll see Washington and UCLA, another great match here on Championship Saturday on CSTV NCAA Volleyball. That match is next. Jin Chu digs it out for USC. Across to Bradford.
Ohio State can't side out quick enough to rotate Stacey Gordon into the front row. Huge risk by Jim Stone not starting her in the front row. Ohio State got in an early deficit and hasn't been able to recover.
Bowman with Minnesota 3 points away. The Golden Gophers were down 2 games to 1. They won game 4 and now 3 points away from game 5. Making 2 points away. Amanda Miller.
And right now, Minnesota playing with all the confidence in the world. They continue to attack Stacey Gordon. The last 3 serves have gone to Ohio State's star.
It's a 6-0 run for Minnesota. Ended by Stacey Gordon and her 44th kill of the match.
Gordon definitely able to quiet this sports pavilion crowd.
Ohio State desperately trying to get momentum with Maine at the service line. Dug out by Castine. Gordon to Jin Chu again, like it's been all night. Stevens trying to go cross court. Jin Chu there to dig it out. Bradford, it was touched.
By who? There was no back row touch. Watch to see if there's one on the block. Unless it went right through her hand and got the hand, but there was no back row touch.
Match point for Minnesota. Maya Mapp keeps the season alive for Ohio State.
Big confidence swing now. All the pressure in the world on the true freshman, Amy Stevens. A miss, and they go home.
For the second straight season, the Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to the NCAA semifinals. A 5-game win over Ohio State.
Carter Balance turned out to be the difference. Ohio State had one of the best players in the nation in Stacey Gordon, but Minnesota had 6 players come to play tonight.
This is a special report from College Sports Television.